Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatītam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and we are in chapter 5, Yoga of Renunciation of Karma. It's the most intricate topic. Can't live without karma, and at the same time, your real dharma is to get rid of karma. So that's intricate. And subtle insight has to develop. In 25th verse, Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishaya Kshina Kalmasha Chinnadvaidhayatatmana Sarvabhuta Hite Rata. Sages who have destroyed all their sins, Kshina Kalmasha, Kalmash, try to understand what makes the mush in your head. Black mush. All impurities, anger, hate, greed, perverted desires, jealousy, conceit. And in going to deeper analysis, Raja Yoga Sutras give you 5 kleshas. Avidya, ignorance. You love to be ignorant. It's also love. Asmita, egoism. Everything is measured on the basis of how does it feel for the ego. And ego is not really yours. When you sleep, you put your ego under your bed, chappals, sandals. You don't carry your ego in deep sleep. And yet, all your mind is busy how to help this ego. This ego is the one that goes on creating lot of commotion in the mind and source of lot of emotion. So avidya, asmita, egoism, attachment, raga, anything that feels good, mind without consulting the intellect, develops this sankalpa, will. May I have that all the time. You eat a delicious laddu in a hotel, then the mind says, let me come here every now and then. Without exercising your reason, what will this laddu do to you? Lot of sugar and all that. I'm giving you a very ordinary argument. Easy to understand. So that act of mind, to hate or to love, backed up by irrationality. When you hate irrationally, it's called dvesha. When you get love or be attached irrationally, it's called raga. And both make your mind in a state of constant shaking, agitation. So the reality that to which your soul must go after, who am I? What is this world? Who is moving my body? Who is winking through my eyes? Who is breathing through my nose? Using without my knowing, who is handling the heart palpitations? Who is doing all these things? You are doing only a tiny bit. So that profound interest in knowing and discovering who am I gets lost because of kalmashas. But raga dvesha, when attachment and hatred dominate your mind, now identified with your ego, your soul becomes bonded with the world, which means you are looking for settlement, happiness, security in the world of time and space. And there comes the role of karma. All that now mind generates is backed up by how to allow the soul to experience worldly pleasure. So raga dvesha create karma. And karma brings about embodiment. It's the basis for being identified with the body. Because karma will not have any purpose if you don't have body. The karma and body go together. Remove karma and you have no body either. Not at a loss. And so, fifth klesha is abhinivesh klesha. Constant fear of losing this body. Fear of death. Comes instinctively by nature. But keeping it in instinct level, that would be good. Mind being very clever and foxy, every day creates fear. How long can I live? Am I going to die? Is Chitragupta, Yama's clerk, has calculated my destiny? And so forth. I'm joking. The idea. When these dominate your mind, that's called kalamash. And if this kalamash there, then all other impurities that are very evident, they arise. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Kshira kalamasha, your project, to live your life with the spirit of integral yoga in daily life, is to bring about waning of afflictions. Waning means thinning out. Your spiritual growth depends upon how much you have reduced your kleshas. But how do you know that you have reduced your kleshas? That also you have to understand now. Even the smallest trace of the klesha will hurt you more than when the klesha was a big lump. That becomes a confusing situation. Read the lives of great sages. And the sages, speaking of themselves, Tulsidas says, Mosam kaun kutil khal kami. In this whole world I look around, but I find myself the worst. Kutil, foxy, khal, wicked, kami. going after worldly desire. And if you don't understand properly, you don't have sympathy. He did so much sadhana, and still he was in trouble. Try to understand now what it means. Firstly, the intention of removing impurities goes so high that as you gain success, even the slightest impurity in your mind is highlighted. Simple illustration, when dust particles fall on your body, you hardly know it. But if they fall into your eye, eyes complain a lot. Your hands doesn't say, oh, little stupid eyes. I have handled so many sad. I can't handle a speck. Now compare. Saintly personalities are like eyes. That's sensitivity. And that's where we are going. So as you move towards sensitivity, you become aware of impurities and their negative role. Not only aware of yourself, but when you look at people suffering from those impurities, you place yourself in their feet, in their shoes. So when a sage says, Mosam, who is there like me, so stupid? Their me is identified with everybody. Deep down they have no me. They can't meow. So 2 stages, movement towards spiritual advancement, directs your attention more to your impurities and minimum to others' impurities. That's what we say, finger pointing. You point one finger, 3 fingers point to you. And therefore, when you do Jamala, this finger is not allowed. There's no permission. Only these 3 fingers and this finger. Subtle meaning behind it. Finger pointing should not be permitted by your mind. Each time you find yourself restless, what amuses you? Find mistakes of others. And when you begin to compare, I'm much better than others. Or I'm just giving a simple illustration. There are countless ways people go on looking at the defects of others and engage their time morning till night, day after day. So instead of that, day after day, your mind should go after devotion to God, and led by devotion, experience sensitivity. When goodness of love has entered your heart, when you are drinking very pure milk, adulterated milk you will not like. So when you have that movement, impurities you will not permit. And whatever impurities, you begin to move away from it. So much of the slightest stress, you can't tolerate it. But the tolerate term is speaking allegorically. You don't become restless and nervous if you find negative quality. You follow the same process of loving God. Light removes darkness. So don't fight with the darkness too much. bring the light. But be constantly involved in bringing the light. All that has to come in a progressive way. So, all that I told about Kshina Kalmasha. Kalmasha begins to wane. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. The highest attainment, Buddha described Nirvana. But Nirvana led to some misunderstanding among people. Nirvana means this entire world of your experience is void, zero. And when you realize that, that's Nirvana. What it means, all the world you experience through your mind, intellect, senses, the entire world that is experienced by all this in three planes, Bhurloka, the world of practical reality, Bhuvarloka, the world of your feelings and sentiments, Swarloka, the world of your understanding, your intellect. All that you experience, they are in the realm of Maya. All illuminations of the sun on the earth, they can't match up with the sun. So compared to the sun, all this is void. Compared to Brahman, all this world, Brahman, absolute reality. Buddha emphasized the void aspect and left the ultimate to happen by itself. But to make these spiritual aspirants not to become deluded by the profound truth, the truth is slightly embellished. So you are not voiding the world, you are getting Brahman. You will become Brahman, Aham Brahmas. Both mean the same thing. But Brahma Nirvana is a more embellished way of defining the state of liberation. Rishaya. Rishi term is very profound term in Vedic literature. The word Arya comes from the Ri, Rita. Ritambhara prajna. That type of understanding which is filled with truth. Truth as it is called Rit. But truth as conceived by your mind in the best way is called Satyam. So even the Satyam Sanskrit word is generally described as truth. It's perfectly practical. But the root behind it is Ritam. Ritambhara prajna. And those who are devoted to that, they are the Aryas. The Ri has turned into Sanskrit literature. So Rishi is one who has that type of special vision. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. Those rishis, they attain Brahma Nirvana. Kshina Kalmasha. I already explained all the kalmash, all the negativity and impurity begin to wane. Chinna Dvaidha. Dvaidha term, mind is working with Dvividha. Dvividha is always, should I do this, should I do that? If you have more spiritual enrichment, then it is spontaneously you choose what is good for you. But if you lack it, then you are now with a choice. One side is a path that will lead you to goodness. Another side path will lead you something pleasant, but it is problematic. So how much your mind can, that will depend upon how much you are enriching your mind day by day. And as you enrich, automatically you are drawn to right type of remedy, right type of solution to a problem. Automatic. But to come to automatic level, you have to go through many errors and corrections. Errors and corrections are perfectly normal for spiritual growth. Learned from children how they walk and they fall, and walk and they fall. And nature has allowed all that in a healthy way. Only do not become addicted to fall. Be addicted to rising. No matter how falling back, you are bound to rise. And from your errors, you learn more and more. Only if you don't go on repeating the errors. So that's a vibrantly alive and active life. So in this process, the mind's vividha, moving in two directions, comes under control. Instead of going into simple gross illustration, you are going to cross a river and there is a boat. Two boats are there. And now look at both boats. The mind says, should go that way. But those people are only Mahatmas. Should go that way. Interesting talks. So one moment your mind wants that way, one moment that way. That vividha. Sanshaya bhavana. Through the episode, humorously told, but that's part of your reality of your life. As long as you live, mind has to work in two directions. But your sadhana movement that gives you spiritual insight will not make you delay in choosing between the two. You will make a quick movement and sahaj, spontaneous. But in early stage, if you have to struggle it. It's for good for you. Yatatmana, one who has controlled the mind and senses. Sarvabhuta hite rata, he becomes devoted to the welfare of all beings. That's another point has to be understood. You are related to the entire universe in a very profound way. No one, think in a simple way, in an ocean, a wave suddenly decides to go to a guru and grow. And he begins to rise. Does it say to other waves, don't come, I have practiced all this? A wave cannot rise unless many waves rise. And the rising wave is very happy to say many rising. The happiness becomes so profound that the prayer comes, Sarve bhavantu sukhina, may all be happy. And when it reaches its climax, you have attained Nirvana. May all be happy. So, spiritual movement is one of the greatest remedy for all the problems people suffer from, all over the world. Adopting the path leading to God realization automatically resolves problems in a very profound way. Because this movement inspires serve, love, meditate, all these great virtues that bring calmness, peace, and prosperity in the world. Those are, you inspire people to follow that track. Doing good to the world has two aspects. One aspect, inspiring people to follow the path that will bring enlightenment in their heart. Sabko sanamati de Bhagavan. We want to help others. To what extent? Help in such a way that they don't need help from anywhere. But if you help others to securing that the others always want your help, that's not real. That's negative. So, for spiritual movement, 2 points have to be remembered. One, be good. Inspire others to be good. And another aspect, do not allow negative impurities to enter your heart. Do not be dominated by vices, sinful karmas. At the same time, help others not to be dominated by sinful karmas. But your handling the negative karmas is on a different level. Your handling others requires art. When you have negative, you can talk to yourself, you stupid one. Have you not heard this satsang again and again? But don't do that with the other people. to another person, say, oh, what a wonderful person you are. It would be much better if you read the Gita. Come to satsanga. So, your act of kindness and graciousness inspires people to turn away from negative and follow the path that is positive. When you bring that all together, then you understand what moving Godward, what does it imply? And the ultimate climax is described like Vasantavat loke hite charanta. Just like look at a whole garden or a whole forest in autumn. All leaves are drying up, etc. But look at the same when the spring season enters. You don't know where the spring season is, but it enters. And the whole forest begins to enjoy the entry of the spring. The spiritual movement is like a spring. And anyone who allows becomes the spirit of spring for the world around him. It's automatic. Countless people will be inspired. You don't care, you don't count them. A flower blossoms, spreads its fragrance. Doesn't care who is smelling the fragrance. Kama krodha viyuktanam yati nam yata chetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. He who has no desire or anger, that means he who has mastered the impurities, nirvikar, whose mind is under his control, and who has realized the self. For him, moksha or liberation is in all directions. Liberation is a result of effortless process, sahaj. You need all the effort, etc., to nourish a tree. But when it is coming into bud and blossoming, you don't have to worry about it. It comes sahaj, spontaneous. In early stage of your sadhana, you have to discipline yourself. But discipline should not always stay stressful. You begin to understand what you did is helping you. So therefore you become spontaneously disciplined. And you enjoy being disciplined. Until there comes a very advanced stage, you simply continue your living your daily life in the spirit of integral yoga, which means all your action is karma yoga. Even your duties you are doing, they are a kind of worship of God. You bring God in every stage. You love people, loving relations. In that you are recognizing God's love and allowing your divine love to kindle the heart of others in a profound way. Then your sentiments become following the path of bhakti yoga. Your willing movement follow the path of dhyana yoga, raj yoga. What to will and what not to will. If you will to become just a millionaire or multimillionaire, that will is just stupid will. Because external wealth will not give you any real fulfillment. But therefore understand a discrimination, what to will, how to direct your mind to will in the right way. And how much limit can you put to your will? Now the simple point, become a channel of divine will. Simple key. Oh God, not my will, your will. By doing so, you outfox your ego. Otherwise, ego dominates your mind, and your will, no matter how joyously you are creating your will, your will is dumping you down into a terrible situation. So, and again, developing will for spiritual progress is backed up by intrinsic reality that the soul is Brahman. So in other words, when you try to fulfill your will in worldly attainment, behind that lies tremendous stress. But when you fulfill your will for spiritual progress, it opens up. It's like you are opening a window and the light is coming more than you willed. Try to understand two types of will. According to your mind, you will the best your mind can say according to your ego. Firstly, you can never attain exactly. Secondly, whatever you attained doesn't really match up with your expectations. So that will, and still you are holding on to what you have willed, you are wasting lots of mental energy by stress, tension, despair, and all that. But when you have willed to have divine love blossoming in your heart, willed to have the experience of surrender to God, a will to be guided by inspiration through satsanga and good activities, that will in the beginning may be stressful, disciplinary stage, but it becomes so joyous that you started with 1 ounce of will, it becomes a ton of will, until it becomes a mountainous will. The entire world can't fill it. That's called Dhruva Sankalp. And that will is, I will attain liberation. That's my purpose of life. That's even calling it mountainous is little to describe it. So, Kama Krodha Vyuktanam, those who have become free of impurities, and the entire chitta movement, mind's movement, is under the domination of spiritual progress towards God. Godward movement has dominated your entire mental process. If that has happened, the question, how long it will take for me to attain liberation? The question doesn't arise. Bhartate vichitatmanam abhito brahma nirvanam. Abhito means everywhere there is brahma nirvana. Previously you had to go somewhere, here, there, and didn't know what. Now everywhere is brahma nirvana. Brahman is in your bathtub. Brahman is in the squirrel that is saying hello to you. Brahman is in the breeze. Brahman is over you with the umbrella of the sky. I'm giving you simple way of understand, but don't consider it is just verbosity, it is reality. The entire world, think of you are dreaming, and dream is giving you lots of agitations and terror. But suddenly an insight develops, it is a dream. And it so happens that the dream experience at that time, the dream pictures are very positive. But now think of how are you experiencing your dream. Everything that is happening in your dream puts you in a smile. Even though it is not real, but it is all expressing the glory of wakefulness, the glory of experience that sees all this not real, but a nice fun. Quickly said, but that's your goal. Moving towards it is a progressive manner. Little things used to bother you, you become a little more strong spiritually. Now they don't bother you, rather you look at them with amusement. So you are gradually waking up and recognizing the divine behind all. Until there is nothing but Brahman. Siya Ram Mai Sab Jag Jani, the entire world is nothing but Sita and Ram. Ramamayam Jagat. So therefore, the question, when will I attain liberation? Where will I attain liberation? This is liberation. Liberation everywhere. There is nothing but liberation in this world, there is nothing else. The world is Brahman. What you are experiencing, which you call the world, you must understand, is a magic show worked out by your nervous system. Your nervous system is your iPad, not little eye, little bigger eye. Led by karma, your soul is operating with this iPad. In every embodiment, the pad changes. Even with animals, the same story. Soul is operating iPads. And the soul views itself a barking dog, a flying bird, or a human being of different types. But all these experiences, are they reality? No. They are mental interpretations. So if you become profoundly wise, that's what it's called Maya. Nothing can be secured. Can you make your life very happy by drawing some picture in your iPad? Picture of a very perfect situation. Your brain and nervous system can draw the best picture. But it has purpose. I'm not discouraged. That's the only way you progress. You bring through your iPad good view, called affirmation, divine affirmation. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am Brahman. Shuddhosi, Buddhosi, you are pure, you are enlightened, you are Buddha, you are Rama, you are Krishna. Bring that. As you bring, ultimately, your iPad dissolves. And what is left is liberation. You don't attain it. You simply, a river goes into the ocean, not to attain the ocean, but merge into the ocean. But allegorically we call a Mahatma has attained self-realization. And with this I'm concluding. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukmuva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. And prayer for health, long life, peace, prosperity for all of you, and enlightenment. And when I say all, I'm directing my attention to all of you who are present. But also informing you, all means all. Not a single soul left out. Om sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om purnamadaha purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Hari Om.